Hello everyone, this is Santiago Vásquez.
And I'm Martin Cervantes.
And welcome to the DOTTE POD.
Where communication
truly
matters.
Hey, everybody, Happy New Year.
Yes, I hope everybody had a nice holidays, especially with your families, eating some good tamales, pozole,
It's been a great time. Well, wait a second. I had a Venezuelan pan de jamón, which is a bread that has ham and capers and olives and raisins, and it was delicious. But mine was vegan.
I can do that except the olives.
And I had it's called ayacas. It's very similar to the Mexican tamale, but we wrap it in the banana leaves.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what, it's delicious. We had a fantastic time. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be here in this country.
Amen.
This country has provided so much.
We also hope that everybody's staying warm.
Yes.
With these temperatures that drop so drastically to below zero, basically. It's like let's keep everybody warm. Check on your family members, your pets, elderly neighbors that you might know that you might need a little help getting around. So let's continue to be a village. Okay,
absolutely.
A village. So,
and today is a special day.
Very special. Very special.
We are lucky to be with this phenomenal person. I'm going to let Mr. C, who knows him, I know him, but Mr. C knows him better than I do.
Well, well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. The new elected sheriff deputy, Soptic. We're happy that you're on board.
Sheriff.
Yes.
Not
the sheriff. I'm sorry.
Sheriff, not
deputy. My bad. My bad.
He's the man in charge.
He makes me nervous.
He
makes me nervous.
We're all friends.
This is exciting.
Dan.
There you go.
Soptic, our new sheriff.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that.
There we go. So sir, tell us a little bit about your cultural background.
Sure.
Where you were born, educated, and how is it that you got interested in becoming a law enforcement officer?
Yeah, sure.
And then running for sheriff.
So born and raised here in Wyandotte County. Actually went to Turner. That's where I graduated, was from Turner.
Okay.
So all my K through 12 was in the Turner School District. And still live in Turner to this day.
Oh, wow.
My daughter is a student in Turner, and I also sit on the school board for the Turner School District.
That is fantastic.
And so, born and raised there. And, for me, that was something even back in middle school and high school. Law enforcement was always something I was interested in. Had friends, family friends, and some family that had been involved in law enforcement. And so I guess it struck a nerve with me, being able to give back and serve your community where you live. It was always important to me. I always wanted to work in Wyandotte County in some fashion. I didn't necessarily have a particular department, but just one of the departments or agencies that served my community. And so like I said, graduated from Turner and did some odd jobs, until I was old enough, because obviously you had to be 21. And when I got the opportunity, I hired on with used to be the Park Rangers, which was a separate department back then. And I got the opportunity in 2009 when the Park Rangers merged with the Sheriff's Office under our previous Sheriff, Don Ash.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt. Correct me if I'm wrong. You started in 2004,
yes,
correct? With the Park Rangers.
Correct, yep. And so that's where I started actually doing patrol. And then I was a supervisor when we merged in 2009. And from there, that allowed me several different things. But I was able to go in investigations as a supervisor when we first merged in. So I had been in patrol, went into investigations, and was able to move throughout the department from there, from operations to support services, and really be able to have my hand in and touch a lot of different parts of the agency and work in just about every division up until my last promotion, which was to the warden of both adult and the juvenile facility. And so that's where I got some time in detention prior to actually being elected. So
now, obviously, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that you have a master's degree.
I do, from KU.
And obviously, prior to becoming a sheriff, you did not have the formal education at the university level, correct?
No. When I left high school, when I graduated high school, I did not have a degree at all. I had some college credit.
Yes.
And when we merged in, for Sheriff Ash, our previous sheriff, education was huge.
That's what I was going to ask you.
He was real big about, as you promoted, there was some expectations that you put in some time in higher education, which would hopefully then bring you along as a leader and as a commander. And so I did. I took the credits I had, finished at the community college, at KCKCC, then went on to Ottawa University to get my bachelor's. After that, I was lucky enough to be able to attend the FBI National Academy.
I was going to ask you about that.
In Quantico, Virginia. And so through that program, you get, depending on classes that you take, you get some master's credits.
Yes.
So I took the classes that gave me master level credit.
Yes.
And after the National Academy, I then went through a program with KU, combined all of my credits, combined all of that, and was able to get my master's through them.
And what is your master on, sir?
So it's business administration, organizational leadership.
So here we go. So education is extremely important, and a lot of people don't know this. They think that police officers are just, or any law enforcement officer, they're just brutes. No. Many officers, they take it upon themselves to take advantage of what the police department offers. They get some credit. Some of the credits are actually paid. In the case of the police department, they pay some of the credits, reimburse the officers for getting their education. And in the case of the police department, just like Danny Ash, he emphasized education.
Yeah, Sheriff Ash was huge in it. I think everybody knows he's been a trustee for the community college for years. Elected there, and so it was big. It was important to him that the commanders, as they promote and as they move through the agency, they take advantage and they put in some of their own effort to get those degrees and those certifications to really prove that they're vested in what they're doing, and it's not just a job.
So I'm going to assume that that's something that you're going to continue to do with your deputies here, right? Promote the education, leadership, and
Absolutely, and it's not just college. There's lots of other certifications and things that's either specific to corrections or specific to law enforcement. That it is. It's important that our folks put in the extra effort and maybe even do things that separate them from others, particularly ones that want to promote or ones that want to go into specialized units. It separates them from everybody else, and it shows that they're willing to put in the time and the effort, and in some cases, depending on where they are, their own money.
Correct. So now, what inspired you? You go through all this process, escalating from one rank to another, from patrol to investigations to becoming a supervisor. So what inspired you to go through this difficult task of saying, I am going to take this leadership, this gigantic task of running for sheriff?
I think it's the community. It's seeing the people that you impact, positively, and knowing that it's your friends, it's your family, it's the people you meet through different organizations, and being able to really, this sounds cliche, but to make the difference.
Yes.
Because I think you hear that probably every applicant, probably to include yourself at some point when you applied for that job as a law enforcement officer, they ask you why.
Why?
You probably said to make
it sounds
a difference.
cliche, but that's the truth.
But there's a lot of truth to that.
Yes, you got to love your community. Otherwise, if you just want to apply for the job because you need the money, you got to go.
And that impact that you make is it's different for everybody.
Yes.
It's not just the patrolman in the car. It's not just whatever unit you might be in. Everybody that's doing this job, from the law enforcement side of it, from the civilian side of it, everybody's making an impact. Everybody has a piece to play, and so for me, it was truly having those experiences where somebody would tell you that you made a difference. In my life, you made a difference in me. The call you came on, just answering the phone call, the question on the phone for some people, and not shuffling them 10 different ways, just answering their question. And when they say thanks for not, pushing me off on somebody else, just years of that, I think, makes you want to go to the next level and the next step.
Now, would you tell us and tell our viewership, how many people are under your leadership and command?
So, we've got some structure change that's ongoing, but we've got about 20 to 30 spots, if you will, total in command. But it really depends on where you're breaking that down. We're about 35 short at the deputy level.
How many deputies do you have total, approximately?
So we're at about 140, 150 or so, give or take.
And you're short that many?
Yeah. Wow. 130 around in there. And so, we're looking for qualified men and women every single day. But we're also short in the civilian ranks, from JIAC to juvenile, JDC, at our clerk positions. I mean, you name it. We're short. We're short everywhere.
So how many civilians are also working under your command and leadership?
We've got probably around 50, 60 civilians, somewhere around there.
Now, one thing that I have noticed throughout the years is that the salary, there was always a discrepancy between the salary of the police department and the sheriff department. Like in my case, I was always a firm believer that the deputies should get the same type of training that they give police officers, right? And the salary should be equal. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. So how has that improved, the salary through the years?
So we do have a weird setup here with the unified government and the sheriff's office, and not having much unincorporated area of the county anymore. Just a little bit out west. So because of that, the pay has there definitely has been a disparity over the years. And so one thing we've done is we've worked with county administration through this last contract negotiation to fix some of that and get the pay up closer to where it should be. We're not there yet, but we are definitely closer and better than we were before.
And what is required of you is to have a high school diploma, correct?
Or GED equivalent, correct.
Are there any incentives if you have an associate's degree, bachelor's degree?
No, there's not at this point. Doesn't mean there might not be in the future, but at the moment there's not.
Because the police department has it.
Yeah.
The police department does have incentives. Now, of course, like anybody else who comes and becomes the sheriff, Mr. C, you can intervene.
No, I'm waiting for my time.
Whenever you enter this position of great responsibility and accountability, what plans do you have to improve the department, and what else are you going to implement in order to reach out to the community? I know that you have a great Citizens Academy. I know that. And you had it for years. So what else do you plan to do?
So for me, the biggest thing is getting our people out in the community. Our patrol unit is smaller. It's the biggest chunk of our folks are assigned to detention. And so because of that, the guys and gals that you see in the patrol cars out on a daily basis is going to be smaller than in other agencies. Because of that, our folks don't get to necessarily tell their story, if you will, because so many of them work in positions that, quite frankly, you just don't see them on a daily basis. But back to my previous statements, what they're doing is so important in their role in detention, court transport, wherever it may be. So we're in the process of standing up a community engagement unit, which will really serve two functions. One is to get our deputies engaged with the community regardless of their assignment. And so, it's not just the patrol people, it's not just the ones that you see out and about every day, but it would give our other staff an opportunity to go to these functions and engage with people that might not normally see them. Two, it helps with our hiring process. Because now you're not just seeing the same people over and over again. You're seeing different people from different parts of the agency. Everybody that hires in to the sheriff's office does come in as a detention deputy. And so getting our detention staff out, letting them interact with the community, and let the community talk to them. Let them ask them the questions. Hey, I know you're currently assigned to detention. What do you think? What would I be in for if I signed up? What's some questions I should ask? So it's a two-way street. It gives our people the chance to engage with the community, and it gives the community a chance to see people that maybe they don't see on a daily basis.
And I know you guys has helped us with deliveries for Wyandotte Angels. And really, all I do is pick up the phone or text you. We need help with this. You always say it's done. We'll be there. So and that's something that we appreciate as a community, as an organization, to know that you guys are always there, willing and ready to help out.
We would do that for anybody. Absolutely. Anybody that's out making that attempt to help the community. That's what we're here for. We serve lots of functions, and that's one that maybe in past years we haven't been able to do as much. Our previous sheriff spent a lot of time just trying to get things, I don't want to say stabilized, but established. Building a good foundation. And now we get to reap some of the benefits of that, and really get to build on that. And that's one of those things that we love to do. As organizations ask and want our assistance, we're able to get out and do things that are out of the ordinary. And it lets people see deputies in a different light. It lets them see them doing something different. And hopefully, not just seeing the same people over and over again, because sometimes your assignment can dictate some of the special duties that you get assigned to do, and it's not necessarily even the person, it's the assignment. It's out of convenience. You might work a certain shift that's more conducive to that. And so trying to find ways to get other people out and in the community and involved is really what that unit's about.
So basically, we're talking about something similar to community policing.
In the sense that it gets our staff engaged in the different parts of the community. Yes, we're not trying to replicate or duplicate what the police department's doing, but to let our people tell their story and tell the community what the sheriff's office really does. There's three pieces to it. We maintain and operate the detention center, we serve the courts, and then we maintain peace in the community. And those three very broad topics, there's a lot to each one of them.
Correct.
And a lot of times that third piece, that maintaining the peace or our patrol function, is a lot of times all you ever see. Again, sometimes that's just convenience. And so how we engage the other two pieces of that, because people ask all the time, what's the difference between you and the police department?
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you that,
and
so that you can explain this to.
Yeah, they don't understand
our viewers,
and so that's part of that. There's several differences. One, there's 3 police departments, obviously, here in the county.
Yes.
And each of those agencies are responsible for their city. That's why they exist. That's why they're funded. That's what they're paid to do. Their jurisdiction ends at each of their city limits, and then the next city obviously takes over. The sheriff's office jurisdiction is the entire county. So our deputies can go anywhere in the county and enforce state law. Here in the unified government piece, they also will enforce local law or ordinance as well if need be. But state and local law is typically what they enforce. We also have like I said, serving the court function, which was part of it, and part of that is serving civil papers, protection from abuse orders,
divorce papers,
custody papers.
Do you have any papers for this?
I don't have nothing for anybody.
Thank you, baby Jesus. Thank you. I'm safe. I'm safe.
And then,
he doesn't have to walk me just across the hall here.
That's right.
I just don't trust him anymore.
Nothing with your guys' name on it.
careful.
And then patrolling the parks.
Yes.
There's over 50 parks here in Wyandotte County, KCK. And we patrol all of those and provide the main response function for those parks.
So people that don't know this, can your agency pull me over on State Avenue because I'm going 20 over the speed limit? You're not just restricted to parks.
No.
We
the only limits that we have as far as boundaries would be the county lines.
Okay.
So county and state line is where our jurisdiction ends, obviously with the exception of some exigent circumstance. But no, we have full law enforcement authority in the entire county, regardless of the city we're in.
Okay.
Now, if I'm going to use a felony crime such as a homicide takes place in a park. At any given park, who is responsible for that? Is it the KCK Police Department or
it would be the sheriff's office. So again, we provide the main law enforcement response in the parks, and so our investigators, our detectives would investigate that crime. And unfortunately, in the past couple of years, we have had that happen.
Yes.
And so our folks would do it. Doesn't mean that we might not ask for some assistance from another jurisdiction, depending on what we need. But no, our folks provide that initial response.
Awesome. Now we know that our previous sheriff, Donnie Ash, he came from the police department.
He did,
and he was a high-ranked officer. And is your plan to maintain a close relationship with the Kansas City Police Department?
Absolutely.
Or any other agency within the county?
Every agency. It makes no sense to not play nice and get along. Unfortunately, there is plenty of crime and issues to go around in the entire county, and so this whole community needs every single law enforcement officer, and they need us to work together. And our relationship has always been good with the KCK Police Department. Like you said, since Sheriff Ash came in, and that's a relationship he worked to build. And so that is something we will absolutely continue with, along with the other agencies, to include, USD 500 police, community college police. There's lots of other agencies we work with on a daily basis.
I mean, we have federal agencies that come and go in our town.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
And they're required. They ask for assistance all the time.
Sure, absolutely.
Now, you don't have enough deputies working here due to whatever, they don't want to apply, they're not qualified, they pay, whatever the situation might be. Are you doing anything different to hire or bring people on board to, hey, this is a place where you want to be? Are you trying to do something different to?
Yeah, so we started with the pay, because even though money doesn't fix everything, I think most people at some point, probably one of the first things they look at is what they're going to get paid.
Yeah, and benefits.
To go do a job, right? The benefits have always been really good with the unified government, and so that piece of it wasn't a big concern, but the pay was. So we started there, and then our community engagement unit will also serve a function of recruitment.
Okay.
And I know I keep kind of talking about the same thing, but it all does really tie together, because when your engagement folks go out and they interact with the community, they're at events, that's a natural place for me to tell you, hey, we're also hiring.
Correct.
You know, this is why you should come here, and I give you the reasons. Hiring events are great. You know, we have had some success at those, but I think if we're out in the community, if we're out at these events, we're out where people are they're just there to enjoy the day, and they're able to engage with our folks, and they make a connection with our folks, then it's a natural progression to say, well, you're looking for a career change, you're looking for some better money, you're looking for whatever the case may be, come see us, come talk to us.
What if an individual that wants to become a sheriff deputy doesn't have a felony record as an adult, but was in trouble as a juvenile? Would that make a difference?
Well, so what we tell people is, you know, there are lots of things that can disqualify a person, but it may not be as bad as they think. So, you know, on the website, when you go to apply, there's a listing of everything that disqualifies you, and it's lengthy. So we always encourage people to look through that. But at the end of the day, if there's something that they're not sure of, maybe it's not on the list, maybe it's a little different than what's on the list, maybe because of the state they were in at the time, apply. Let's vet that, because some things that you may think is a deal breaker may not be for us, and then vice versa. There may be some things that you don't think is a big deal, and at the end of the day, you know, it's just something we can't get over.
How about tattoos?
So tattoos, as long as they're not vulgar, it's probably the best way to explain it, and they're not on your face, neck. You know, things that would be disruptive to what you're trying to do. No, tattoos are not a problem.
Okay,
that's awesome. Do you plan to make any physical or structural changes to the intake facility that for years there were times when they looked a little bit like, okay, we need to make some improvements here?
Yeah, so there's been lots of discussions over the years about what we call the horseshoe, the intake area, and there was some movement a couple different times to do something, and quite honestly, other things just got in the way. But yeah, we are looking at what a remodel or restructure in that area would look like.
And that takes money.
It does take money, and everybody needs money in their budget.
No, you know,
but
we all know it.
And but before we even get that far, we also have to have people to fill that role. But
Correct.
yeah, that is definitely on our priority list, and just maybe some of the maintenance that's been deferred over the years to get that caught back up.
Now, obviously, the Kansas City, Wyandotte County is having, in KCK in particular now, is having some new changes. We have a new mayor that is coming in, Mayor Tyron Gardner, who also has a law enforcement background, you know, and obviously he's the very first selected African American mayor, and I'm assuming that, I don't know if you guys have already met. Probably in the past you already met.
We did.
You have a relationship with him. What is the plan? How is that going to be with relationship to improve? Hopefully getting some financial assistance to improve the county jail.
So yeah, I did work with Mayor Garner prior when he was with the police department. So we did have that relationship. He and I have briefly chatted a few times since the election, and definitely there'll be ongoing conversations with him. And what I said through the election still stands today. No matter who is elected into any spot, I'm going to work with them. And there was obviously several different elections that were going on all at the same time. We had some new commissioners come in, some that stayed the same, new mayor. We have new school board members. We have all kinds of new folks. And this office will work with every elected.
Everyone.
It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter where they came from. It doesn't matter what they were elected for. We're going to work with them because that's what's best for the community. That's what's best for Wyandotte County. And them being successful is going to in turn mean we're all successful.
Now, and again, the assumptions here on my part, I'm assuming that you have already met with our district attorney.
I have. Yep. Yeah, we met last week before. Again, I've had some interactions with Mr. Dupree just from working, in the sheriff's office on other things. And again, that would be the same answer. I would work with him and will work with him in his office, to have hopefully successful cases run through the DA's office and the people that need to be in jail, make sure they're in jail.
Now, one thing that I noticed, that is awesome. That is great. I mean, having that great relationship between the different agencies and groups. One thing that I noticed throughout the years is that the sheriff department was always at the vanguard of hiring minorities, and whether they were African Americans, Hispanics or Latinos, females, you were always at the vanguard. Compare the numbers. When we compare the numbers, do you still plan to go, hopefully continue to hire minorities to be in the sheriff department, qualified minorities?
Absolutely, and that's the thing. It's qualified.
Qualified.
At the end of the day, for me, it's, are they qualified to do the job?
Correct.
And do they have the best interest of this community, at heart? And those are the folks we're looking for.
Absolutely.
And to ensure that the process is conducive to including everybody in that process, making sure that our hiring process is equitable for everyone is a piece of it. And if your hiring process is equitable, then at the end of the day, what you should end up with is the qualified applicants.
Now, in the case of Mr. C right here, who is an expert dealing and conversing and communicating and closing that gap with the juveniles, maybe Mr. C can elaborate a little bit more on this. Do you have any plans through your community outreach to reach out to the youth?
Yep. So there is a juvenile piece to that, the juvenile engagement. A couple years ago, we opened the new juvenile detention center, and that in itself has a negative connotation to it, and we get that. The reality of it is, the situation before how we and where we housed juveniles was less than ideal, and they needed their own space. If it was up to me, if I had the power, if you will, to make everybody behave, there would be nobody in that facility because quite honestly, I don't want juveniles in the
then
facility.
I'll be unemployed.
Well, you would. We'll find something for you.
All right. Okay. Cool.
That would be a great problem to have, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we know that's not the reality of it, and we know that we do have kids committing adult crimes.
Yes.
And as long as that happens, we have to have a place to house them safely and appropriately, and so that's what we built. Now, with that though, we also built in functions of that building to engage the youth in several different ways. And the biggest thing is space. Having somewhere that a community group can meet, that an organization can meet, and help them accomplish their mission. I can't do it. The sheriff's office can't do it. Me as an individual can't do it. But a lot of times what an organization or a group might need is just somewhere to go. somewhere with 4 walls and a roof when it's 10 degrees outside or when it's 100 degrees to go and complete their mission or work on their program, whatever they're doing. And so that's one thing that we are able to offer with that building. And for the kids that are already in the system, everything is there. Everything juvenile court related is in that building now. And so we're able to say, all right, to do this piece of it, here's the courtroom. To do this piece of it, here's where you need to go. And for those that aren't in the system yet, maybe let them just have a little peek at why they don't want to be in the system, because you don't want to come to this building. You don't want to be here wrapped up in this mess, and so let's find a way to keep you out of here. And a lot of times people just need somewhere to go and do that.
Yeah. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. And I would like to ask you if you can take us a visual walk into your facility here, the adult facility, county jail. What do you have here? What is the process? How do you house the inmates? I know males and females are separated. Is there any medical attention, medical services, mental health services, educational programs in here in the jail?
Yep, I can. So we are what's called a pretrial facility. And what that means is people that come here are not necessarily serving sentences. They're waiting for their time in court. So either they're going to get their day in court, or they're going to be released because the charges have been released, or they get their day in court and they're found not guilty. If somebody is sentenced to the Department of Corrections, so they're found guilty, that's not us. That's the state. They go off to DOC. So for the majority of everybody here, they are all awaiting sentence. That's why we're a pretrial facility. Now there are a small number that have been sentenced to what we call county time. Some small amount of time for, it could be a DUI, it could be some other offense that might require them to serve a couple weeks, might require them to serve 30 days. They're not going to go off to DOC and go through that process. Instead, they would serve that time here locally. But those are very few. And so what you find is you come in the facility, you're booked in, and then you're going to be evaluated by medical. So our medical is a provider that we contract with. They provide all of our medical service. They also provide our mental health piece to that as well. And then once you're actually in and you're booked, then we have another provider that is going to do the food portion, if you will. And so all of the meals are provided by this different vendor. Medical and mental health is provided by a vendor. Everything else is handled in-house. So the security piece of it, the maintenance piece of it, that's all provided by either sheriff's office or UG employees. What has kind of messed with us, and not just us, but other places as well, is COVID. So COVID has affected our intake process. It's affected how we house. It's affected, we have to quarantine people. It's affected courts, obviously, for 14, 18 months, no court hearings, whatever it ended up being. And so what the trickle-down effect of that was, people that should have only been here for a short time because it's pre-trial, right, waiting on their day in court, they ended up being here a whole lot longer than they should have been because court wasn't happening. But the offenses were violent or serious enough in nature that they had to be in custody. And so what we have seen is a spike in our daily population, if you will, the length of stay that people are staying, because court just wasn't moving. Now court started back up, and so we're starting to see some of that unclog, but it's going to take time because that was a long time we went with no court.
Now, with 3 local agencies, with other agencies, with people that may have warrants that are extraditable to our county, to our city, or the 3 cities that we have, how many people do you think come through the intake every day, adult-wise only?
Man, it really depends. I'll tell you, it depends on the day of the week. It depends on what's going on.
The weather.
The weather.
You know, the temperament of something even like a sporting event.
Yes.
Or I mean, it really does depend. You know, for us to have 14, 15, 16 in the course of a day is not uncommon.
Not uncommon.
You know, we always hope for less, but there really is no rhyme or reason to it. It just kind of depends on what's going on. You know, the days when it's 70 and sunny and it's a Saturday or a Friday night, you know, you can't expect higher than normal, but just it depends.
How many inmates are you housing right now?
So we fluctuate between 420 to 440, 450 in-house. Just kind of depends. We do farm out or send out to other agencies between, you know, 30, 40, somewhere around there. Just kind of depends.
So how many people, I don't know what's the proper word, inmates, people who are detained here per pod approximately?
Depends on the pod. And due to the sensitive nature of that, we don't really give those numbers out.
That's tough.
But it depends on the pod. They're all different sizes.
Yeah, we understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Now, I'm sorry, Mr. C. I
No,
I
you're
like
fine.
to talk.
You're fine. I know
I like
that.
to talk, and
Here,
and I want to make sure, not just because I want to talk, it's because I want the community to know, to be educated. You were selected to be in office for 4 years.
That's correct.
What do you think? I mean, we live in the now. Yesterday was a different day. We don't know the future. The future is no guarantee for us. But in the now, on what you plan to work every day, what do you foresee? What do you think? What changes are you going to bring overall?
You know, we talked about that foundation that our previous administration laid for us. We have to take advantage of that. We have to show the community who the sheriff's office is, what the sheriff's office does, and for those that maybe have had a bad experience in the past, maybe have some of those trust issues, to show them what we're about. One thing that law enforcement has suffered from is an entire profession being judged by the actions of a few.
Correct.
Correct. And I don't even mean locally, I just mean globally. Throughout the United States. And so there's no doubt been some law enforcement officers that have done things that they shouldn't have, and that they need to be dealt with and they need to be held accountable for. But unfortunately, this entire profession has taken that hit, and they, we really are being judged by actions of those very few. And so, letting the community know, getting out and letting them see who we are, and that's not us. Particularly as a organization, that's not us. But as a profession as a whole, that's not us.
Yes,
I think that's very important. There's always been some mystery behind law enforcement, and over the years we've done a better job at humanizing us. But even and you probably could even attest to this. Even when you see your own coworkers in regular clothes when they're not working, sometimes you do a double take.
Yes.
Because you're like, I've only ever seen you in uniform, right?
Correct.
You call them by their last name.
Yes.
Right? You hear somebody call them by their first name, and you're like, who?
Yeah.
We as a profession have done better over the years at that, but we have to continue with that. That would be the biggest change that you would see from us, is going from people asking who the sheriff's office is, what does the sheriff's office do, to really understanding that and knowing the answer to that.
We have a plethora of questions. I mean, Jesus, I have so many questions, and I'm sure that
always come
viewers,
back. Always come back.
We'll text you.
That's right.
And I know your time is limited. You know, people always ask, how do we stop recidivism? Oh my God, you know, and I always tell people, listen, when you criticize the law enforcement officer, I want you to think like this: is every human being that you have encountered there a great human being? Is every teacher a good teacher? Is every priest a good priest? Is every parent a good parent? Think like that before, you know, I used to tell my fellow officers, listen, one thing is to arrest somebody, you cuff him, you put him in the back of your car, and for however many minutes it takes you from point A to point B to take him to the county, and then you transfer them, you custody from them to the county, and then you're gone.
That's right.
You don't have to deal with them anymore.
That's right.
You guys have to deal with that.
You
every day.
You were spot on. You know, you see them at their worst for maybe half hour, 45 minutes as the person taking them into custody. Maybe longer depending on what you're doing. But then we now have them for the next 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 months. And their worst could be every single day. And so, yeah, it does. It's way different. And, you know, we try to work through that, through the mental health piece when applicable. But let's face it, nobody wants to be here. And everybody has their story to tell. And a lot of people are very, they want to tell that story. They want their day in court. Unfortunately, that's not the piece we serve. That's not what we do. We house them until that day comes. And so, our guys and gals in detention take a lot of that on a daily basis that you wouldn't know it or understand it if you didn't know how the process worked.
Well, I have mentioned this before for people that are out there. The budgets of any law enforcement of an agency is this. And I say this is zero in the sense of money to pay everybody that's working in the agency, both law enforcement officers and civilians that support the agency, and enough training to provide, enough money to provide training. And training is necessary.
Yes.
And training requires money. Correct?
It does. And, you know, training is a huge piece. And we put the effort into the training because, and again, I'll revert to you, but you know that, you know, when the bad thing happens, when you're put to the test, when you're stressed, your training comes into play. And so making sure that our new hires get the best training, making sure through our reoccurring training that we're getting them what they need. Sure, yeah, it does cost money and it takes time. I am committed to investing the time and investing the money to make sure they have what they need.
Before we go, real quick, if any citizen out there listening wants to be a part of this Citizens Academy, what do they need to do?
So they need to watch our social media. When we get our next one up and running, we'll definitely post it. We'll post the details about it.
Do you have a Facebook page?
We do, so they can follow us on Facebook. That's
YouTube?
Probably no. We haven't got into YouTube a whole lot.
Instagram? Not yet.
No, not yet. We're branching out all of that.
Do you have your own training academy?
We do. We do. So we train all of our new hires in-house. And then when they go to the state academy or to the police academy, we send them to Hutch to be certified. But yeah, no, everything else we do in-house. So watch our social media, and as some of these new accounts come online and some of our other ways to reach people, you know, are out there, that information will be out there. The transition it just takes some time, and once the transition's completed and staff is in place, then we can get kind of back on that route of doing some of the things we did before, and you know, quite honestly, improving the things we want to improve, changing some of the things we want to change.
And how do you elevate the morale of your deputies? How do you do that?
That's tough. That is tough. You know, particularly when we just talked about they're locked in. You know, the majority of our staff is locked in the facility 12 hours a day with people that are having the worst day of their life. Could be. It is tough. I think for me, it's letting our folks know, and any of them that watch this, I would hope they take this away. We couldn't do it without the hard work that they put in. They truly do serve this community in a way that nobody will ever understand. Until you have worked in those conditions and dealt with that on a daily basis, it is really hard to wrap your head around it. And so from me to them, I would say thank you to every single one of them. And I hope that they know, the job they're doing is imperative to keeping this community safe. It's another piece to the puzzle, if you will. But that's tough. Pay, benefits, those all go towards helping that. But money's not everything.
Correct. No, that's true. Now, before we go, is there anything else that you would like to tell the viewers?
Sure.
Anything else? Anything that comes out of your
a message, an idea, anything. This is your time.
I think what I would say is I'd want to thank everybody that came out and voted. Those that supported me from day one, thank you. Those that maybe even didn't or was unsure, give me a chance to prove why I was the best candidate, why I was ultimately elected. This community means a lot to me. It always has. It always will. I've never wanted anything but to serve this community in this, either in this fashion or in some way administratively in law enforcement. It's an honor to serve every single one of you every day. I am proud to be from Wyandotte County. I'm proud to serve here in Wyandotte County, and I'm proud that this is my home.
Well, sir.
Well, we thank you for your time and explaining a little bit about what you do, who you are, and your deputies, your office.
And let us know. Yeah. Let us know if you have an event.
Absolutely.
Yes,
we'd love to go live.
We'll be more than happy
It's
to
easier
do
to go live because we don't have to go through all the editing process.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
let us know. We would love to be part of it. Everybody, thank you so much.
Thank you.
But please keep following us. Our goal is to educate people. Again, we don't engage in political dogma or religious dogma. We want people to get to know what is positive in our great county.
Everything that we do is always going to be positive, regardless of whatever situation is going on out there. It's always going to be positive because we want to maintain this.
We don't want to be
positive, the positive going on. The negative is always going to be there. We don't want to focus on that. So remember, Wyandotte County, you're not alone. Look forward. Don't look back.
Right.
Okay?
And it takes what?
It takes a village. It takes a village. We are part of this village. You are a part of the village.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Appreciate
us.
it. Thank you. Thanks
Thank you
for
so
coming out.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Till next time.